Oh boy, has it been a while. Wow, I didn't think our hiatus would last this long, but... When you think of aliens, what usually comes to mind?
This, or this. Yeah, sure does raise some eyebrows, right?
Now say that this alien comes to Earth and becomes your teacher in order to study human behavior, and through a rather bizarre turn of events, you end up having to marry said alien. The result? You would get, please teacher.
Please Teacher was an original anime directed by Yasunori Ide and written by Yosuke Kuroda and produced by Bandai Visual Entertainment. It was later converted into a manga format by MediaWorks' Dengeki Dio magazine, and a spin-off series called Please Twins was created in 2003. The story involves a group of high school students and their bizarre adventures after being introduced to their new teacher, who is literally out of this world.
So you must be curious on how this anime turns out. Well, let's start off with the synopsis.
So our story starts with our main hero named Kei Kusanagi as he lays down by the lake on the grass, stargazing. Or he would be if he didn't fall asleep. That is until...
Whoa! Beam me up, hottie!
All your base are belong to us.
So he tries to run away from what he saw, falls into the lake, and it was all a dream.
Is it just me, or am I getting a lot of animes that start out with some weird dream sequence or something?
So apparently there is a big commotion going on in Kei's classroom about their teacher quitting at the last minute and that they are getting a replacement.
So, you'd have to wonder, what kind of teacher would they be getting?
Well, you see, I'm... Oh, boy. Good morning, everyone. My name is Miss Mizuho Kazumi. For the rest of the year, I will be in charge of this class.
I'm sorry, what?
So as you can obviously tell, the guys in Kei's class seem pretty excited after finding out that they have a pretty female teacher. So when Kei gets home, he also notices that his new teacher also turns out to be his new next door neighbor.
How eerily convenient!
So he offers to help move his new teacher into her new apartment, and wouldn't you know it,
Oh, that hurt!
I'm sorry.
I'm really starting to hate this kid.
So his teacher Mizuho Kazami tells Kei about their encounter the other night, and Kei of course panics. So she teleports him to her spaceship.
What's going on?
I am sorry, but I cannot allow you to leave.
So to cut a rather bizarre chase scene short, she teleports them back to Kay's house, just in time for them to get caught in a rather compromising position by Kay's uncle. So after a rather uncomfortable interrogation process by Kay's aunt and uncle, we cut to the next day after school, where Kay finds himself teleported into the school's PE locker room. While Mizuho tries to explain why she arrived on Earth, and that Kay should keep the fact that she's an alien from outer space a secret, they end up getting locked inside. However, due to a rather sleepy plot device, they are unable to teleport out. So after a long sequence of plot expositions, Kay's uncle finally finds them with the school principal alongside. So before you can say Mary Catherine Schmitz, the principal takes them to his office. However, so that Mizuho doesn't get fired, Kay's uncle gets a brilliant idea.
Of course it's simple. Once you understand that these two are husband and wife.
They're married?
Oh, yes. They've been married since long before Miss Kazumi got placed at this school.
So wait a second here. This story is about a young high school student falling in a love affair with his teacher? Don't stories like this usually end up in the news nowadays about every month or so?
Damn it, where are all these sexed up teachers when I was a kid?
Plus, she's an alien, for crying out loud. Doesn't she have some sort of device where she can wipe the memories of the people who discover her secrets from their minds?
Most illogical.
Well, anyway, let's move on to the characters of the show.
Kei Kusanagi is an 18-year-old who suffers from a very rare disorder that causes him to fall into a coma-like state whenever he experiences extreme emotional stress. He is also a very frail and shy boy who tries not to overassert himself when necessary. He fell into a coma for 3.5 years, which stunted his growth, making him look more like a 15-year-old rather than an 18-year-old.
So one would have to wonder, have there ever been any instances where falling into a coma for an extended amount of time affects the growth of a child? Even after searching WebMD for hours, the answers remain elusive.
He moves out into the country to live with his aunt and uncle, who happens to be a doctor, out of fear that he was becoming a burden to his parents. He goes to high school in order to make up the 3 years that were lost when he was in a coma. Otherwise, he seems to live a normal life. That is until his new teacher arrives. Then there's Mizuho Kazami, a 23-year-old who is a half-human, half-alien woman who is sent to Earth in order to observe and study human behavior. She loves to eat poke, or pochi as the anime calls it, a Japanese snack food that consists of a biscuit stick covered with chocolate as it reminds her of her father.
What, did her father work as a janitor at Glico or something?
She's very pretty and smart, but she's also very prone to being ditzy and prone to jealousy, as well as jumping to conclusions, and is oversensitive, but she always means well.
Aren't all women ditzy, jealous, tend to jump to conclusions, and oversensitive?
Since Please Teacher is a relationship comedy, be prepared to encounter scenes of brief nudity at least a couple of times. No naughty parts are shown, and let's face it, if they did, this would be a hentai show.
In which I absolutely refuse to review hentai titles, so don't ask me to review one.
Also, since this is a show about relationships, honest discussions about sex will occasionally show up. There is also a certain scene in the last episode where it shows the facial expressions of our newlywed intergalactic couple having at it for a very brief 2 to 3 seconds.
Which is why the last episode was a DVD exclusive rather than airing on TV, but wow! I didn't even think you could do that in TV cartoons.
So combining those facts, I think this deserves a 3 out of 5 stars. I'm not so sure about crude humor. It's there, but it's not too explicit, but at times it comes very close. There is also the use of mild sexual innuendo in this show, but thankfully, unlike some other show I know, it is neither forced nor contrived. So I will give this 3 stars out of 5. I don't remember hearing too much swearing, but do expect at least quite a few words with double meanings to appear once in a while. Other than that, I think I'll give this 1 out of 5 stars. The show utilizes some mild cartoon violence, but it's not too graphic, so I'll give this 2 stars for violence. When the show starts out, it seems like a weird-looking situation comedy involving a high school student and his alien teacher who end up getting married to each other, seemingly for all the wrong reasons. But the further you get into this series, the more you come to realize...
Yes, folks, this was supposed to be taken seriously. Like, how can you take a story about a high school student who ends up marrying his teacher, who's an alien from outer space, seriously?
So as the series progresses, this seemingly accidental marital bond steadily grows into something more, drawing our rather reluctant interplanetary couple closer together. So as you can imagine, I was very skeptical about how the show would turn out. So it actually surprised me on how the show honestly takes a look at how various romantic relationships are like. The anime also not only takes a look at Kei and Mizuho's relationship, but also the relationships of the other characters as well, such as the budding romantic relationship between Kei's friends Kaede and Hyosuke.
But this whole idea of having an alien for a spouse really disturbs me. After all, could you imagine what it must be like for them to have sex?
Oh, that's not right. No.
And I couldn't even begin to imagine what their kids would look like. I mean, who knows? Maybe you can get Will Smith to deliver it.
You know, it's actually kind of... cute.
So yeah, even though the premise is a little absurd, it takes an honest look at relationships and the good and bad things about them, so I will give Story a 3 out of 5. The show's soundtrack was composed in a collaboration effort between Ive Sound and Shinji Orito. The music is very moving and well placed, enhancing the mood of the story. The songs I like most in this show are the opening and ending themes. The opening song, Shooting Star by Kotoko, seems to give a high-flying feeling, while the ending song, Sora no Mori Day by Mami Kawada, seems to have a more down-to-earth mellow feeling. And I don't know if it's just me, but every time I hear one of Kotoko's songs, it sounds like she's using auto-tune or some other form of vocal enhancement software. So that said, I'll give soundtrack 4 out of 5 stars. The animation's not bad, but strangely I have very little to say about it. I guess it's pretty average, but there is something rather interesting to note here. Though the setting is left unmentioned, it takes place in actual locations in and around Lake Kizaki in Nagano, Japan. Otherwise, I'll give animation a 3 out of 5. The characters are interesting to say the least, and each of the characters gets an equal amount of screen time and backstory, which I didn't think was possible for a 12-episode series. The characters and their relationships are very deep and develop immensely as the story progresses. The character designs themselves are rather simple, but are very pleasing to the eye, and no two characters are alike, which makes them much more human and believable. So in that case, I will give this 4 out of 5 for characters. Overall, Please Teacher surprised me in more ways than one. Despite having a rather ridiculous premise, it's well thought out, it isn't rushed, It has a nice balance between humor and romance, and tries to take the relationships of its characters seriously. It may not be near the top of my favorites list, but it still deserves a good look. So this is why I give Please Teacher 4 style points, and an overall rating of 7 out of 10.
So, until next time... Wait a second, who the heck are you? What anime was I reviewing again? Oh well. This is the American Anime Otaku, signing out.
Sorry.